it do, what it do, what it do. It's your boy P-Way here with Proving Grounds. And guys, we're here for another weekly college football wrap-up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and let's get straight to it. All right, guys, we're starting out here with the big game out the Big Ten as number 24 Illinois defeats number 22 Nebraska. And this was a big game for Nebraska to show that they can defeat and come up with wins against ranked opponents, which hasn't happened for a while. But I do think that they have a solid future. In this game, Luke Altmaier for Illinois threw for 4 touchdowns. A great game for him. And don't put that aside to the great performance out of the freshman for Nebraska, their quarterback, Raiola, who threw for 3 touchdowns. He had a great game. He shows a lot of poise as a freshman, and I think he has probably the biggest upside of any freshman quarterback I've seen probably in the past 5 years. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to be great. Just has to continue to learn and develop. Now, this game was just a little bit of just doing things at the right time. Illinois was able to make the plays that they needed late, and that's the only way they pulled through and won in this overtime game. And this is the third, I think, overtime game of this week that we're going to be covering today. And Illinois was able to escape through, but Nebraska, do not count them out. I still think they're going to be heavily involved in this Big Ten as things goes forward. I think this was a learning lesson for them, and looking at their schedule, they can still make some noise. I look for them to continue to stay in those ranked seedings going forward. On to the next. Now we're going on to number 1, Texas, steamrolling over UL Monroe, 51-3. This was the start to Arch Manning's career, his first career start. I think I saw a preview of his dad's and his brother's starts, and he had kind of the same start, except for Eli. Eli went crazy and threw for like 5 touchdowns or something like that. But anyways, the kid threw for 2 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions. The last interceptions wasn't really his fault. It actually went off his running back's hands, who had a great game as well. So, he's shown a lot of promise, and I look forward to seeing more to come from Arch Manning. Speaking of their running back, Jadon Blue, he ran for over 124 yards and had 3 touchdowns, which is typical when you're playing a team that you're much better than. So they was able to run the ball and get a great victory over UL Monroe and just continue their dominance so far for Texas. I do want to mention, because I just want to say his name just because of his name sense, but General Booty, the quarterback for UL Monroe, he was doing the best he can, played with a high effort, but, he wasn't expected to win this game. I actually just literally brought him up just to say his name, General Booty. So, guys, this was a great performance of Texas, and it's really just about covering the first career start of Manning. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a Manning, so we got to talk about it. On to the next. Next, we have a great game out of 2 ranked opponents. We have number 6 Tennessee getting their best victory of the season versus number 15 Oklahoma. And this game was a great game in the second half. In the first half, Tennessee widening their gap, and it ended in a score of 19-3. And that's really the name of this game. Oklahoma just came on a little too late. You had Tennessee's rushing attack also that went for over 150 yards to Oklahoma's rushing attack that totaled only 36 yards. When you're dominating so much in the run game, it's very hard to win in college football unless your quarterback is throwing for like over 300 yards or something, which was not the case here. Their 2 quarterbacks, I think, total for Oklahoma only 180 yards. Also, they threw an interception, so they lost a turnover battle to Tennessee as well. So this game was just really too much in the first half, and then Oklahoma came on late. They just couldn't decrease the lead and make it interesting. So Great game for Tennessee. Their freshman quarterback as well, Nico, has a lot of promise. 6'6" tower back there, great vision, great accuracy. He had a good game. He threw for 194 yards and a touchdown. So we're going to see more of Tennessee as they continue to climb. They're number 6 now, but I can expect them to be in that top 4 very, very soon. So next we have one of the games of the week, and number 18 Michigan defeating number 11th USC. And this game did not disappoint. This game couldn't be more of a complete opposite of play styles from the two teams. I think I've never seen a team that's so opposite. We had a passing attack versus a running attack. And you know Michigan is all about the run game, and USC is all about the passing game. Michigan only threw for 32 total yards in the passing game. That is crazy. 32 total yards. But on the ground game, they ran for over 290 yards with their dynamic duo of Mullings and Edwards. And going over to USC side, their quarterback Moss threw for over 3 touchdowns and 280 yards. But their rushing attack, they ran for a total of 96 yards. So, like I said before, this was a game of complete opposites, and it really was about which style would prevail. But with a great running game, you are able to do one thing, and that is control the clock and control time of possession. And that's why it's always favored to have a great running game. And Michigan was able to pull late through an explosive run by Mullings, which put them in scoring position, which Mullings then scored and put his team up in the closing seconds. And that was the separation of this game. I think this was highly competitive. If these teams played each other 10 times, it will probably go back and forth and split between each team. So this was a great game. Michigan was able to escape with the win, and we will see much more of these teams in the future. Moving into the Big 12, we had the top two teams in the Big 12 face off as Utah defeated Oklahoma State 22-19. And this was big to Utah, especially with their quarterback Cam Rising still out for injury. This was big for them to get this win. Micah Bernard, the running back for Utah, he had 25 carries for 182 yards, and he was their player of the game. Because of his game, he was able to relieve pressure off this backup quarterback, and they were able to dominate in the run game, which controls time, which also controls the tempo of the game. And this is what led Utah to escape and win this game versus Oklahoma State. On the other side of things, Oklahoma State, there was a big game expected in these conferences games from Gordon, from their running back, and he only had 42 yards. And that was the deciding factor in this game. They needed a little bit more from him and the linemen. There wasn't a lot of gaps created due to this stout Utah defense. They have a lot of returners that came back for that defense, and they played very well. Next, we have BYU upsetting on paper Kansas State 38-9. And guys, this game was not even close from the get-go. From the first half to the second half, BYU simply dominated. And this has drastic effects on Kansas State seeding. I think they went down 10 spots from the 13th rank to the 23rd rank once the AP poll reviewed this game. This was the worst game out of their freshmen as well, Avery Johnson, as he had 0 touchdowns, just over 100 something yards, and had 2 interceptions, 2 turnovers that were costly, and this was just an all-around bad game for Kansas State, and an all-around bad showing for them. This is the type of game where they're going to have to get heavy into the film and really try to come back stronger. And for BYU, this is a big game because this now has pushed them into the rankings, which they felt like they deserved. And shout out to BYU as I expect them to upset a few more teams later this year. Now we are getting to my games of the week. And yes, I said games. I had 2 games of the week. I usually only have one, but when I talk about both, you will understand why I had to pick 2 for this week. First, we're going to start with the game that had video-like numbers. I mean, video-like game numbers. It was crazy. I did not watch the game. I went over and reviewed the highlights. I was looking at the score on my phone. I thought that my phone was messing up or was having some type of trouble because I was like, this can't be right. Why am I looking at a score at halftime that reads that JMU is beating UNC 53-21 at half? I said, this can't be real. But it was. And they end up defeating UNC 70-50. JMU wins 70 guys to 50. It's like the coaches came together before the game and said, hey, let's play no defense today. Let's come with an agreement. We're going to play no defense and see how this game comes about. And that's exactly what happened. So in the first quarter, it was 25-14 JMU. And you're thinking like, wow, these teams are kind of shooting it out here. This is going to be a high scoring game. Or maybe it will slow down at some point. But no, then just JMU kicks it into this extra gear. And then they end up ending the half with 53 points over UNC's 21. So it was an absolutely just crazy game. I mean, the stats are ridiculous. I think UNC quarterback threw for 475 yards and had over 3 touchdowns. I think GMU's quarterback threw for 388 yards as well. You had 3 touchdowns for UNC's running back, 2 touchdowns for GMU's running back. I mean, guys, the stats are going to be all over the place. We're talking 70 points here. So, crazy game. I do not think we're going to see anything like this. I can almost bet we're not going to see anything like this the rest of the season. But crazy video game numbers to total 120 points. I want to see if that's a record. That has to be a record. But yes, that is one of my games of the week. All right, guys. So going into the second game of the week, it goes to Coach Prime's Colorado Buffs defeating the Baylor Bears. Guys, this game was absolutely bananas. They went into overtime and Colorado came with the win. So a quick synopsis of the game. So you had this game going back and forth. You had Baylor kind of pushing away. I think they were up 21-7 right before halftime. Then, right before halftime, Shador throws a pass to Omarion Miller, his receiver, and he ends up turning maybe a 30-yard catch into about a 50 or 60-yard touchdown with a run after the catch and getting it to the end zone and shortening the gap to 21-14 right before half. So, basically, in the third quarter, they end up tying scores 24-24 going into the fourth quarter. Now, there was a key moment in the fourth quarter where Coach Prime and the Buffs moved up to about their 45-yard line. And Coach Prime decided with like 6 minutes or 5 minutes left to go for it on a 4th and 8. I disagree. He should have just punted the ball because his defense was playing well and then get his offense another chance to win the game. But no, he decided to go for it on 4th and 8, and they failed. Baylor takes that now that they're already on the 45. They have a short distance now, and they drive and they score. And there's only maybe so it's 18 seconds left. He drops back. And then he's looking. The time is ticking. Everybody's screaming, throw the ball, throw the ball. So then he just throws it. A Hail Mary, and it ends in his receiver's hands, Will Shepherd, and he drops it. And when I say, I mean, I think it hit his face mask. It went right into his hands. A Hail Mary to win the game, and he drops it. But there's 2 seconds left on the clock. Now, obviously, the odds, I think at this point, ESPN is reporting 90.9% Baylor wins this game. There's no chance that you're going to throw another Hail Mary and actually be catchable at this point. There's just no chance. It's very, very slim. So the next play with 2 seconds left, Shador rolls out left and then launches it. And LeJontay Wester, their receiver, makes a great play, adjusts and catches the ball, and they score a touchdown to go into overtime. Guys, it was simply an amazing play. About it is LeJontay Wester is by far their shortest receiver. and for them not to throw it to Travis Hunter, to Will Shepherd again, or Jimmy Horn, and have to throw it to their shortest receiver, and for him to come up with that play, I mean, that's just a big time play. We got to give a shout out to Shador and a shout out to LeJontay Wester for that play, because that was huge, and they went into overtime. It got even crazier in overtime. They go into overtime. Colorado drives down, and then they hand it off to their freshman running back, and he scores a touchdown. Then Baylor gets the rock. They drive down. They get to all the way about, I think it was like first and goal or second and goal, in like the 4 yard line, something very, very close. And they've been dominating in overtime in the run game, so they definitely were going to get in. So then they go to hand it off to their running back. He gets all the way to the goal line, and who meets them there? Travis Hunter, the leading Heisman candidate in my eyes, meets him there, hits the running back with the shoulder, hits the football, and then the running back fumbles, and the ball goes to the back of the end zone, and that's the game right there. It was the most craziest thing I ever seen for it to go down like that, and just for big time players to step up and make big time plays when it counts the most. This reminds me of the times when we're in that peak, when we have no football, no NBA, and it's just like golf on TV. And I think periods of baseball in and out is absolutely nothing. And we say that we miss football. We gotta remember moments like this game here. This is why we love college football. The Colorado Buffs come up with an amazing, amazing win, their first game in the Big 12, and it was just exciting. So that is my game of the week. So thank you for watching. Go ahead below and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I want to thank all you guys for your support and viewing this weekly wrap up of college football sports. We're going on to next week. Shout out, it's your boy P Way of Proving Grounds. Peace.